Bisons under head coach Brian Dobie are struggling again this season and are fighting for a playoff spot. Only UBC and Simon Fraser, playing against each other in our other Shaw broadcast today, are behind them in the standings. Now in his 14th season as head coach, Brian Dobie is up to the challenges his team faces in the afterglow of winning the Vanier Cup 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, this is a big day for us. A win here for us obviously puts us in a much better position than where we started the season, right in the thick of things for playoffs. You know, in terms of getting that win, you know, obviously they've got some great weapons on offense. I think a very good offensive line, but their defense is outstanding. And of course, I'm a little biased. We've kind of hung our hats on defensive teams in our program throughout this decade, and so I know how important a great defense is, and that's what we're going to face today at the U of S.
The Herd are working on a 3-game regular season winning streak versus the Huskies. The last time they lost to Saskatchewan on home turf was September 10th of '05. Today, the Bisons will look to leadership and the strong arm of quarterback Nathan Friesen, despite the 35-24 loss he had on a great game October 10th versus Calgary, where he went 21 of 36 for 264 yards and no interceptions. And if running back Matt Henry gets the ball, you know there's going to be some trouble for Saskatchewan. This guy knows how to help the team get it done. So it's Lawrence Nixon against Nathan Friesen, the Huskies versus the Bisons. It's going to be great and probably a little bit ugly. It's coming up next, right after this break, only on Shaw TV.
Today's game is brought to you by the University of Manitoba. More courses, more options, more futures. The U of more.
A little something can mean everything to kids without the means to enjoy organized sport. Because kids involved with sport are more active, healthier, and happier, which benefits everyone. Right now, children in your community need financial support to play the sports they love. To donate, visit KidSport so all kids can play.
CIS Canada West football is live on Shaw. Tune in Saturday, October 24th when the Regina Rams look to steamroll the Calgary Dinos at McMahon Stadium. CIS Canada West football, only on Shaw.
A true north, strong and free, from far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Welcome back to Winnipeg. Mike Beauregard, Andrew Patterson, Jim Toth set to bringing you the Canada West football game of the week, Saskatchewan against Manitoba. We were talking off air some of the keys to the game. It'll be interesting to see what the offenses do today. Can Saskatchewan continue what they had going last week against UBC after a slow start? And can the Bison offense move the ball against the best defense in Canada West?
This will definitely be a defensive battle. Both of these teams live and die on their defense. We'll look to the Bisons to see if Eddie Steele and the Bison pass rush can get to Lawrence Nixon and keep the opportunities for the Saskatchewan offense to a minimum. Obviously, the Bison offense as well needs to move the chains. They're the last place team as far as time of possession in Can West, and against a team like Saskatchewan, they're going to need to hold on to the ball to have a positive result today.
We'd like to say hello to our viewers in Saskatchewan tuning in this afternoon. The Bisons have 2 wins and 3 losses. They got off to a slow start this season, but Hustler, they've been a different team the last 3 weeks.
Well, they certainly have. The last week going against the top team in Canada West, Calgary, could be classified as a moral victory. Bison still 0-3 on the road, but certainly a much better performance than their 2 early season losses on the road. And the team has to look at the fact that they are 2-0 here at University Stadium, and hopefully they can even up their record on the season and go to a perfect 3-0 in front of their home fans with a win this afternoon over the Huskies.
The Bisons lost at Calgary 35-24, but they rallied from a 23-0 deficit to lead in the game in the 3rd quarter before finally losing. But Calgary is the best team in this conference and ranked 3rd in the nation. Opening kickoff taken by Jeremy Vitello, and he crosses the Bison 25-yard line, and we'll get our first look at the Bison offense led by Nathan Friesen, who has been a different player the last 3 weeks as well.
He certainly has. The Bison offense started very cold this early this season with their two games on the road. But it seems that they've put a lot more play action into their offense. He's been running quite a bit more, and that's really sparked this Bison offense.
Everything that the Bisons do on offense revolves around the rushing game, and you'll see an awful lot of Matt Henry. And he gets the ball on first down and gets absolutely nothing. Henry, 86 yards rushing last week against Calgary, and he was over 100 yards in the 2 previous games, so he's close to 100 yards every game.
Well, and they're going to need to block a little bit better than they did on that first play. You see that Saskatchewan gangrene defense penetrating the line of scrimmage and, you know, tackling Matt Henry for a loss of 1, bringing up a 2nd and 11. And the Bisons, as we said before, need some first downs. They can't just be giving the ball right back to Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan's defense has given up only 81 points this season. Bisons with an incomplete pass on 2nd down. That's 21 points fewer than any other defense is allowed in Canada West.
Which, I mean, you know, usually should win you a lot of games. I mean, both of these teams, and even Saskatchewan last week had their breakout game offensively with putting up 44 points against UBC. They've been winning it on the backs of their defense for the first few weeks of the season. As we said before at the top of the show, you know, the Bison defense is going to need to get pressure and basically do exactly what Saskatchewan just did to the U of M in their first possession.
Well, it's not quite a Chamber of Commerce day here in Winnipeg. It's about 3 degrees, feels like -3 with the wind, which is partially against the Bisons here in the first quarter as the punt goes out of bounds by Brendan Bowman.
We're going to now see Lawrence Nixon and the Saskatchewan offense with some great field position right at midfield for their first position. And as we said before, you know, with conditions like this, field position so important, particularly when you're playing against 2 strong defenses. You know, starting point on the field will be a real key this afternoon.
A coming out party for the Saskatchewan offense last week against UBC. 5 touchdowns, 44 points, which almost equaled their entire output for the season in their 4 previous games.
The game against UBC came just at the right time for Saskatchewan, I think, and we're now going to see whether they can continue that momentum here at University Stadium this afternoon.
Well, they start with good field position. They're going to throw on first down. Pass intended for Gorski, and it's picked off. Andrew James with the interception on the first offensive play for Saskatchewan.
And Brian Toby and the U of M Bisons could not have asked for a better start defensively. They certainly didn't get it done. We can go to the replay right now and see Nixon go back for his first pass attempt. It was a deflection on it, and James came down with the pick, and now it's the U of M with starting field position right at midfield.
Bisons were 2 and out in their first series. They faked the run. Friesen's going to pass over the middle, has Doiron for a first down, and he gets 4 or 5 extra yards.
Doiron was a player that got a lot of looks in the last home game against Alberta from Nathan Friesen, and you can just see the confidence of number 12, how it's improved through the season. And as I say, it was a 2 and out, not a great possession for the Bisons to start off, but that pick has really put some energy back on that sideline.
Well, it's taken the offense a while to come around. None of their receivers were starters last season, including Clancy Doiron. who was slow to start the season but now has 13 receptions. On first down, Matt Henry is stacked up at the line for no gain.
Again, Saskatchewan's penetration on the line, certainly that's what they're going to want to be doing, moving that pile backwards. Matt Henry so far 0 yards on 2 carries.
Well, you look at the Saskatchewan defense, clearly #1 in the conference in points allowed, but they're just kind of middle of the pack in defending the pass and the run. Their statistics are sort of middle of the pack. They bend, but they don't break. 2nd and 10 situation for Manitoba. Friesen out of the gun, throws well on the run, has an open receiver. Incomplete, intended for Rory Anderson, who took quite a hit there.
That's one they really should have been caught, to be frank. Nathan Friesen with a nice rollout and certainly had his receiver there. Those are the sort of plays that if the U of M wants to hang with Saskatchewan, they're going to need to convert those.
Brendan Bowman comes on to punt for the 2nd time in this game. Travis Gorski, the lone returner for Saskatchewan. If you're just joining us, we're just underway and our Canada West football game of the week. Saskatchewan Huskies ranked 7th in the country, visiting the Manitoba Bisons, who are fighting for a playoff spot, currently tied for 4th in the conference. Short run back for Gorski.
We're going to see the Bison defense come back on so far only one play they've had to defend, and an interception to start it off. Needless to say, a turnover deep in Saskatchewan territory would be huge for the U of M, but Lawrence Nixon, one of the top players in the conference, you can see that. We'll be looking to move the chains right now and get them out of deep in their own end zone.
Saskatchewan scrimmaging from their 18. Tyler O'Gorman gets the ball and gets close to a 1st down.
We saw a lot of O'Gorman in these two teams match up last year at University Stadium. It's a real coming out party for him, and he's a 5th-year player, but a player that when they're not passing the ball, they lean on number 7 a lot.
Bisons won last year's game 2017, which is interesting because they did not make the playoffs, and Saskatchewan was a 1st-place team. Bisons are tough at home. Draw, O'Gorman, another 1st down.
Great blocking by the Saskatchewan O-line. That was a huge hole and a well-designed play as well. I think a lot of the brown and gold thought that the Nixon was going back to pass. You can see on the replay right here, O'Gorman gets at the drop. Good penetration by the Bison D, but far too outside, and he ran up the middle for 10 yards.
Consecutive 1st downs for Saskatchewan. And why not give it to O'Gorman again, who gets a couple of yards. Let's go downstairs to Jim Toth.
Well, guys, the field conditions today are good to Midland, which I'm told Midland means pretty darn good. That's a technical term. Of course, it's a soft field right now. It's not wet. It's not dry. It's perfect for football conditions. The big concern today for both teams is a crosswind that's coming in across the field. It starts at the Bison's half of the field at the closest hash and then comes out. So punting and field goal kicking could be an issue throughout the game. Guys?
Thanks a lot, Jim. Gain of 3 for O'Gorman on 1st down, so it's 2nd and 7. Pass for Gorski. He has it, but is shy of a 1st down.
Nice stop for U of M. Gorski, the go-to guy for Lawrence Nixon. Now we'll be hearing his name quite a bit this afternoon. Grant Shaw's turn to punt.
He does the punting and place kicking for the Huskies, averaging 36 yards a punt, and this one's a good one with the wind partially behind him. Botello feels it on the run, one of the better punt returners in Canada West, but he's tied up quickly.
Botello's had quite the season so far, getting worked more into the passing game, and had that incredible 129-yard return of a missed field goal earlier in the season, which certainly was the Bison's lone bright light in that game against SFU.
Yeah, they got thumped. They lost in Regina in week 1 with no offense, and then things got even worse at Simon Fraser, where they only had 69 yards in total offense and losing 41-7. But they turned things around here at home to win 2 in a row. Lost in a decent effort to Calgary last week. So they're 2-3 and in the hunt suddenly after missing the playoffs last year. Saskatchewan, 3 of their 4 wins were by a point. That's James Girardi, the other go-to back for the Bisons. Gets about a yard. It'll be 2nd and 9.
U of M, despite no gains in the first couple runs, are not going to abandon the running game, particularly in conditions like this today.
Well, it's worked for them in their last 3 games. Friesen's going to pass on 2nd down over the middle, has a receiver. That's Jake Kennard, but he's shy of the 1st down.
Jake Kennard playing receiver now. Seen him with doing some kicking duties in prior years, but with such a young receiving core, there was an opening, and he's been quite a reliable receiver for Nathan Friesen this season so far.
Also plays in a local rock band. Pretty talented kid. Actually, the Bisons have great depth at kicker. They've got 3 guys: Bowman, the punter, Scott Dixon, their field goal kicker, and Kennard, who can do both if they have to.
Well, you're going to say great depth at guitar.
Well, that's possible as well. But that won't win you football games. Long count. Kicked by Bowman. Wobbly. Fielded by Gorski at his 50. And a return of about 7 yards.
The more we see these 2 teams go head-to-head and the defenses really dominate so far, this game is going to be likely decided with a few key plays, and we're talking about those turnovers. In fact, that interception on the first play by the first pass by Nixon could have easily gone all the way for 6, but a great tackle by the Saskatchewan receiver kept the Bisons in their spot, and obviously the defense was able to get the ball back.
Saskatchewan hasn't had much success passing thus far this season. 3 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions for Nixon, who goes deep on this play, and he had Jones wide open. A couple of steps on his defender, Pete Adams, but he couldn't complete the pass.
The U of M, after getting gored by Tyler O'Gorman for a couple of the first downs on the first play, they weren't ready for this pass. You can see Nixon air it out deep, just out of the outstretched hands of Jones, and it brings up a 2nd down, but that was very close to being 6 for the green and white.
Yeah, well, if the defense was cheating a bit, it won't be after that. 2nd and 10 Saskatchewan from the Bison 52. Nixon, plenty of time, has a receiver. That's McHenry over the middle for a big 1st down.
Heck of a catch and a great hit. Got to give McHenry big props for being able to hold on to that ball. We should see a replay here in a moment. And first of all, Saskatchewan O-line giving Nixon some time, and he hits McHenry over the middle and is popped, but holds on to the ball for a big 1st down, now into Bison territory around the 35.
McHenry came back from injury last week against Calgary and was Saskatchewan's leading receiver, 5 receptions for 86 yards. O'Gorman gets the ball on 1st down and has some running room. Tyler O'Gorman inside the Bison 20, another 1st down.
Big 20-yard run by O'Gorman, and Coach Brian Towers and the Saskatchewan offense doing some great play calling. With the last couple plays where Nixon had receivers deep and open, those delayed handoffs to O'Gorman open up the holes, and he made it up for about a gain of 19 yards.
Well, if you were to grade the offenses early in this game, Saskatchewan has gotten the better of Manitoba. That was their 4th 1st down. O'Gorman gets the ball again, fumbles the football, and it appears as though the Bisons have recovered, at least from our vantage point. We'll wait for the official. Adam Paradowski is the referee today. It's quite a pile-up. Saskatchewan indicating they have retained possession.
Wow,
And they have.
Very fortunate for Saskatchewan there. A couple brown jerseys. Eddie Steele was right there, as well as number 90, Adam Hindley. See, they popped the ball out right at the end. And that's good work on the Huskies to retain possession of that ball. But it does bring up a 2nd and 8.
No score?
Still not sure how they recovered that ball.
They must have stolen it in the pileup. 2nd and 8, Saskatchewan. Ball nearly picked off.
Teague Sherman, the safety, one of the main key cogs of that Bison defense, got his hands on it, but you can tell it was it's cold there. It was like a smack sound. He got that ball from the end zone.
That'll bring on Grant Shaw, who's 11 of 14 in the field goal kicking department. Hit a 50-yarder last week. This one will come from just outside the 20 with a wind going left to right. Ball's down, and it's through. So Saskatchewan takes an early 3-0 lead on Manitoba.
Kicking game will be huge today, both with these quality defenses giving up limited number of opportunities and this wind. Both the punting game and kicking game will be crucial, and a solid kicker like Grant Shaw will do the Huskies a lot of good here this afternoon at University Stadium if you can keep that up.
Well, big football weekend hustler for both provinces. The Green Riders playing later today in a battle for first place at Calgary, and the Bombers tomorrow hosting the BC Lions.
Suddenly hot Blue Bombers. Who would have thunk it?
3 consecutive victories for the blue and gold. On first down, they throw. Will Shields, does he have it?
Heck of a catch.
The fullback, he does.
Heck of a catch by the big guy. And that's really moving the chains now for the first time, getting the ball themselves into Saskatchewan territory. Big wheel Shields, good hands for a big guy.
Matt Henry on first down. And they're not having much success with that dive play so far.
Absolutely nothing. They've gone to Matt Henry 3 times on first down, trying to, gain some yards, some positive yards, and are 0 for 3 so far against the Saskatchewan defensive line, who's doing a heck of a job early in this game.
Well, the Bisons looked at all 3 of their quarterbacks in the first 2 games of the season, but Nathan Friesen has really grabbed the bull by the horns since the UBC game, and he's been the guy, and he's looked pretty good. He's going to throw here, intended for Rory Anderson, who was tripped up.
No flag on the play, though. I guess they thought that the ball was uncatchable. That's a little bit surprising, because he
can't tackle me.
He was basically tackled by, and that's Grant Shaw. Shaw, do everything player for the Huskies, doing the defensive duties as well as punting and place kicking.
How can you not make the call?
Brian Doby on the officials.
Come on, 8-5.
Nice job by our crew here at Shaw to get as much audio as they can. Hope you're enjoying today's game. It's a doubleheader. We've got another one coming up between SFU and UBC.
Flags all over the place.
Procedure? Yep. Go back 5. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
That was a strange one, Mike. They were lined up, and Shields took a step across and just put his hand on the shoulder of one of the Saskatchewan defenders, and 3 flags flew.
4th punt of the game for Brendan Bowman, who stands at his 40. So far, the Saskatchewan defense has come as advertised. Here's Bowman. And it bounces out of bounds in front of Gorski.
Huskies will start just inside their own 30-yard line, and You know, considering the way they moved the ball on that last possession, Bison defense is going to really want to, A, stop those big gains by O'Gorman. If you're giving up 10, 12 yards on first down, it's going to be pretty tough to hang in a game against a team with a defense like the Saskatchewan Huskies.
Well, the Bison defense gave up over 500 yards in offense last week after going 2 games without giving up an offensive touchdown.
Wyatt Jacoby with a big tackle there. And that's another guy that the Brown and Gold are going to be looking to get penetration, both for the running game and to put some heat on quarterback Lawrence Nixon.
Jacoby leads Canada West with 2 fumble recoveries. One of their key players. Eddie Steele's in there. We mentioned his name earlier. 97, playing injured. Missed the game, was back last week. Bison with the blitz. Nixon dumps it off to O'Gorman, who gets the first down.
Very well-designed play by the Huskies. John Tietzman all over Lawrence Nixon, but he had the patience to move back in the pocket, pop one over to O'Gorman, and a great gain by the Huskies on second down. Let's see the replay here, Mike. We'll take our words for it. It was a very well-designed play.
Saskatchewan with a fresh set of downs from their 45. Kohler close to another first down. Rory Kohler.
Andrew James getting in on the tackle, and he had that big pick on the first play from scrimmage for the Huskies. But since then, the Huskies have really straightened the ship and been moving the ball on the Bisons with relative ease. Not getting any warmer here either, Mike.
No, they were calling for a high of 9 today.
That was speculation,
yeah,
I understand.
Maybe 9 hours south in Minneapolis, but not in Winnipeg today.
It's 3 or 4 degrees right now, but that wind drops it down on the real life scale of how it's feeling out there. And you can see the fans at University Stadium bundling up.
Well, I guess if the sun were to come out and the wind were to subside, we might have 9 degrees, but they're calling for a nicer day tomorrow for the Bomber game.
4 p.m. at Canada Stadium, and huge one for the Bombers after winning 3 in a row.
Yes, the bandwagon is filled up again.
Oh, has it ever.
And Mike Kelly is suddenly a nice guy and a good coach.
We had a great time with Mike Kelly on a radio show earlier this week, and you can tell that the weight of the world seems to be off the shoulders of some of the members of the Bomber coaching staff after 3 wins in a row after a 3-8 start.
Saskatchewan didn't quite get the first down. It'll be 2nd and inches. Nixon's going to pass. And he gets the first down, then a gain of about 4 before being brought down by Hindley.
That may have been an inch, not even inches. They had not far to go, so the minute Nixon didn't see many open receivers, just took a few steps across the line and moved the chains.
A better start for the Bison defense today. They gave up 3 touchdowns in 6 possessions to open the game last week at Calgary. O'Gorman, who's had quite a bit of success running the ball, gets another first down.
Flag on the play in the backfield, though, and more often than not, that's offensive holding, but we'll have to see what the Stripes have to say. Here's the replay, and you can see O'Gorman get that. Saskatchewan's been doing a great job off the ball with opening up those holes. That's probably the 3rd or 4th time he's gone for 3-4 yards. However, there was a reason for
Saskatchewan
that.
number 65, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Darren Hines, the center, nabbed for holding, and that's going to move the Huskies back into their own territory at the 50 with the 1st and 20.
Darren has a brother on the team, Darcy. The Huskies have 3 sets of brothers on this team. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. So 1st and 20 from midfield, more flags. Nixon to O'Gorman. And a nice tackle there by Jim Jevons.
Pretty sure that was offside on the Bisons, and we'll see whether they decide to accept the play or the penalty, because that was a nice gain on 1st and 20, giving them a more manageable 2nd down if they do accept.
You're going to go from we're going from here. You go 1st and 15. Okay. Decline it. Thank you. Are you sure? We go.
NFL sounds of the game has
Manitoba
nothing
number
on
90. The penalty's declined. 2nd down.
So with that gain of 11 by O'Gorman on the 1st down, they'll decline the penalty and take a 2nd and 9 inside the Bison 50.
Second and 9. Kohlert. And he's wrapped up by Sherman and a few others. So Saskatchewan well short of the 1st down.
My vantage point, I thought that may have bounced, but certainly by the reaction of all the players, it didn't. Only about a 1 yard after the catch. Grant Shaw will be back out to punt the ball to the U of M. See just a quick out by Nixon. And the Bison defenders all over number 2, Rory Kohlert, the Saskatchewan Huskies.
Well, just a 3-0 game, Saskatchewan leading, but the Bison defense has been on that field perhaps a little too much for their liking.
And we talked about that at the top of the game. You know, the University of Manitoba needs to get some 1st downs and needs to roll this offense a little bit more, even if they're not scoring points all the time, because too many 3 and outs. You give a player like Lawrence Nixon in this offense of Saskatchewan. Player nicked up on the last play.
Huskies are going to attempt a field goal. This is going to come from midfield. Grant Shaw, 11 of 14 this season. He's got a crosswind to contend with. This one's certainly long enough, and it's good.
Are you kidding?
Well, he hit from 50 last week, and that one was well through the uprights to give the Huskies a 6-0 lead.
55-yarder, and it's one of those plays that can sometimes backfire if you miss, but they obviously have a lot of confidence in Grant Shaw, and he then stays out there with the defense to play cornerback. What a valuable member of this team, particularly on a day like this, Mike.
Nathan Friesen keeps himself and has a 1st down.
Well-designed play by the Bisons, and you know, they've gone 3 times to Matt Henry on 1st down with no success whatsoever, and a little play action, get the quarterback out and move the chains.
Huskies will have to contend with that all day, or at least the possibility of Friesen running. He has over 200 yards rushing this season, one of the top rushers among quarterbacks in Canada West.
I still can't get over that 55-yard field goal.
Well, depending on what the Huskies offense does today, those could be 3 big points. Henry might have got a yard.
The Saskatchewan defense really keying on 36, and he's had nothing so far.
$86 yards rushing last week, Matt had. The previous week, 122 yards against Alberta and 139 yards rushing against UBC. One of the reasons why the Bisons have been able to turn things around this season is their run game and the improved play at the quarterbacking position. James Girardi on 2nd down gets a couple, but the Bisons will have to punt.
starting to look more and more like this game is going to rest on the arm of Nathan Friesen, frankly, and the legs as well, because the Saskatchewan Huskies defense is giving U of M nothing in the rushing game.
Well, the first quarter is in the books. Saskatchewan with 2 field goals leads Manitoba 6-0. We're back to Winnipeg in just a moment. You're watching the Canada West Football Game of the Week from Winnipeg on Shaw TV.
Today's game is brought to you by the University of Manitoba. More courses, more options, more futures. The U of more.
The world of PowerSmart, the best way to save energy is to find out where you're losing it. With the air tightness test from Manitoba Hydro, you can. Wow, your home could definitely be more efficient.
Oh!
Let's look inside to see exactly where you're losing energy. Common air leaks include light fixtures, windowsills, and electrical outlets. Now that you have your checklist, it looks like you're ready to make some energy-saving changes. For your in-home energy evaluation, visit hydro.mb.ca.
Today's game is brought to you by the University of Manitoba. More courses, more options, more futures. The U of more.
Welcome back to Winnipeg. Mike Beauregard, Andrew Patterson, and Jim Toth at University Stadium, where the hometown Bisons trail the Saskatchewan Huskies, the 7th-ranked team in the nation, by a score of 6-0. A defensive battle so far. Saskatchewan able to generate a little more offense. A 21-yard field goal and a 55-yard field goal from Grant Shaw, the difference in this game. And the Huskies will get the ball back after this punt by Brendan Bowman, his 6th punt of the game. And it's decent. Clearly there's a bit of a wind favoring the Bisons in this quarter. Gorski with a good return crosses the Huskies 25.
Well, it's interesting, Mike, with the change of possession there and the team switching sides after the first quarter, you really see the difference. The Bisons have been punting all the first quarter, and you know, usually 25-30 yards, and that was just a booming kick. And you realize why the Huskies thought it was feasible to try to kick a field goal from midfield. Not to mention they've got a trustworthy kicker in Grant Shaw.
It'll be interesting to see the first quarter stats. O'Gorman has had some success running the football. Nixon. Huskies run the football.
Garrett Bolin getting his first carry of the afternoon, and he'd been leaning on number 7 O'Gorman, and now if they want to really establish their running game, they're going to mix it up with a few of the other players.
Yeah, they'll use Bolin. They'll also use Jeff Hassler and O'Gorman. All 3 of them had touchdowns last week against UBC.
Big second down for the Bison defense if they can manage to get Saskatchewan to punt here.
No gain for Bolin, so it's 2nd and 10. Saskatchewan. Nixon looks like he might run. He's going to pass now. Has Gorski, and the Huskies have a first down.
Great scramble by Nixon, and you can tell the chemistry between these two players. We'll see on the replay. Nothing happening in the backfield. Bison's getting some pressure. Nixon buys himself a little time and finds 1-8. Move the chains.
Oh, he has well over 30 receptions, 33 coming into this game, does Gorski, and he has more catches than any receiver in Canada West so far this season, but no touchdowns. Huskies run again on first down. That's Bolin. Gets a couple.
few yards there. And, you know, you see the chemistry between Nixon and Gorski, and that's just something that Nathan Friesen has not yet established with one of the Bison receivers. Bolin hit hard by Hindley and the Bison defense, but still a gain of about 5 yards, and manageable second downs by Saskatchewan. 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, and quarterback like Nixon doing a great job converting them.
Second and 5 situation. Great job. Nixon buying himself some time, but he's dropped for a loss, or perhaps back at the line of scrimmage by Hindley, who's having a big game today.
Lots of penetration, and here are the first quarter stats. 3 first downs for the Bison, 6 for Saskatchewan, and doing it very evenly. 55 for rushing, 56 on the pass for 111 yards of total offense, and that one turnover was their first play of the game. But after that, Saskatchewan dominating, but with the wind, and we'll see if the Bison can take advantage of the wind here in the second quarter. And we'll see how Grant Shaw likes punting into this stiff Manitoba afternoon wind.
Sun trying to come out. Good punt by Shaw. Into the wind. Botello chases it down. No yards on the play.
Botello's a dangerous player on the return game for Manitoba. He's done it earlier this season, and a few other big gains. And they, I imagine, will try and work him into the offense more and more, because the Bisons really haven't established a deep passing threat this year with Nathan.
There's no infraction on the play. The man in the zone was the kicker.
Grant Shaw getting his nose in there, and obviously the ref's picking up the flag. That'll be first down, and you see Nate Friesen 3 of 6 in the first quarter for 45 yards, and they'll need to improve on that with the win in the second half to get back in this game.
Well, he had his best game last week. 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions against Calgary. Friesen's a 5th-year player, but really hasn't played a whole lot until this season, but a former Canadian Junior Player of the Year. Girardi gets a yard. You're talking about Botello. I know that the Bisons expected more of him at the receiving position earlier in the year. He's a great returner, but he's started to come into his own as a receiver. He has a touchdown in his last 2 games.
Yeah, it was a big one last week in Calgary when the team was down 23-0, getting back into the game before falling by 11 to the top team in Can West, the Calgary Dinos. Big second down here for U of M.
Girardi got a couple. 2nd and 8 Manitoba. 3 first downs in the first quarter. Rory Anderson, nice catch, first down.
Great throw by Friesen as well. And these were throws that he was not making at the start of the year. And we've talked about the trials and tribulations of Nate Friesen. They went through all 3 quarterbacks in that disastrous game at SFU. And there was a lot of talk that the Bisons might turn to Khalil Williams. But since then, it has been Nathan Friesen's show. He's done a lot of it with his legs as well. And you can see as this team moves the ball, getting a lot more confidence in the passing game.
Yeah, when a college team takes 3 quarterbacks on the road, you know they're having problems at that position. But no more. Another completed pass. Doiron, the ball carrier. Close to another first down. Took a big hit.
Bison's getting a couple first downs, getting this University Stadium crowd into the game, and for the first time, really getting close to putting some points of their own on the board.
Clancy Doiron, a local product out of St. Paul's High School here in Winnipeg.
Tall, lanky receiver, and you can see that gets the arms up. Nate Friesen's pass into the mitts, and good for another first down.
So Manitoba moving. James Girardi, big holes, and gets a first down.
Other than that one scamper by Nate Friesen himself, that run by Girardi is the first real positive gain on the rushing game for the Bisons. And that's been their bread and butter. They don't usually have to rely on the pass as much, but credit the Saskatchewan defense for the pressure they're moving the Bison offensive line. And Brown and Gold just doing what they have to do to try to move these chains and get it closer to the Saskatchewan end zone.
Girardi doesn't get the reps that Henry does, but he's averaging close to 6 yards a carry Manitoba throws, and Doiron is close to another first down.
Really impressed with the confidence in Nate Friesen on this drive. And, you know, maybe, you know, we're up here in the booth and are not feeling the wind as much, but it's obvious that, you know, this offense is entirely, has way more confidence with the wind. You can see Friesen fake the handoff and just rip it in there, and Doiron really has become his go-to receiver.
So Manitoba driving against the best defense in Canada West at the 10 now. Girardi, touchdown, Manitoba.
What a drive for the Bisons. They're right back in this game, tied at 6.
An impressive march for the Bisons, who put together 4 consecutive first downs. And they have the first touchdown of this game.
James Girardi with a couple of big runs on that drive, and things weren't working for Matt Henry. They put in 3-1, and now they're kicking an extra point to go up.
Scott Dixon comes on. And it's through to give Manitoba a 7-6 lead. Well, we knew the defenses were solid. The question was, what would the offenses do today? And
the answer in the
this
first
might spark the Bisons.
Yeah, the answer in the first quarter for the U of M was not much, but what a fantastic drive! About 5 minutes off the clock to start the second quarter, and they still got 10 more minutes with the wind, or 9:44 left with the wind, and you know, the pressure now goes back on to Nixon and the Saskatchewan offense.
Jim Toth is standing by.
Yeah, thanks, guys. James Girardi joins me now. Not much in the run game until the touchdown. What's the difference?
Well, we went 5R and we kept the pace up, so they didn't have a lot of time to switch players and out of their huddle, and just tried to pick the tempo up.
5R always works.
Oh, love it.
Good to get the first major of the game, though, especially being down here at home.
Yeah, definitely. We needed a boost, so we're up now and hope we can keep it going.
Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Guys?
Thanks a lot, Jim. I guess what he was saying there was that, you know, the Bison just sped things up a bit. They didn't give Saskatchewan a chance to organize on defense.
Some good coaching on the part of the U of M, and obviously with Brian Towers on the other side, on the sidelines of Saskatchewan, they'll have something for the U of M coming back here. 29-year veteran here in the CIS on the sidelines for the University of Saskatchewan.
3 Vanier Cup championships. So the Huskies down. And a good run back here. Can Dixon get him? And finally, a great tackle by the kicker, Scott Dixon.
What a run by Jeff Hassler. Certainly not your prototypical returner when you look at his body type, but breaking tackles and great blocking by the Huskies. A couple of missed tackles by the Bisons there, and ended up being, I believe, a horse collar tackle, which will move it closer to the Bison end zone. And this Bison defense is going to need to step up right now, because the Huskies, starting this drive, knocking on the door.
Unnecessary roughness. Manitoba number 21 on the horse collar. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Hassler is a fullback. They don't often use him as a kick returner, but perhaps they should reconsider that, because Saskatchewan has great field position here with the penalty.
Once he got that speed going through those big holes that his teammates had set up for him, really hard to bring down.
Well, this might be their shortest drive all year, because the ball is at the 1-yard line. Early movement on the part of the Bisons, and a touchdown for O'Gorman.
Was a flag on the play, but I'm pretty sure it was against the U of M, so that'll be 6 for the Huskies, and just like that, they're right back on top.
So very quickly, a kickoff return from Jeff Hassler. Bison special teams have been pretty good this year.
Coaches are not going to be happy about how things have transpired since they had that great drive down for the touchdown. Here's Shaw for the convert.
And Grant Shaw puts it through to give Saskatchewan 13-7 lead. So the Huskies respond.
No, we don't need much of a drive summary for that one, Mike. 1 to play, 1 yard.
Where to answer, boys? Where to answer? Keep trying.
Here the Huskies down on that sideline, hyped after that return, and quick touchdown after the Bisons got their first score of the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, that's the last thing you needed if you're Manitoba, because your defense has done pretty well against the Saskatchewan offense. There's not much you can do there with such a short field.
Well, it's so key with the wind, too. I mean, if they could have, it would have been much more difficult for Saskatchewan to move the ball like as they had been against the wind. And obviously, you're talking with the kicking game and punts, it makes it that much more difficult. But when you got a 100-yard return right off the, or thereabouts, right off the touchdown, it doesn't leave the offense much work to do to pound it in for 1 yard.
Ball blows off the tee, just to give you an indication of how strong the wind is here. Almost 40 Ks an hour at game time.
You know, the Manitoba sideline would love to see Jeremy Botello do what he's done earlier this season and answer back with a big return of their own.
Good kick by Shaw, fielded by Botello at his 10. Middle return, crosses the 30 to about the 34-yard line.
The Bison offense after that drive certainly wasn't on the sidelines for very long, and Nate Friesen will lead the offense back out, trying to continue what they did in that last drive that ended up with 6 points.
There's a look at Friesen's numbers. 21 for 36 last week. 3 touchdown passes, 52 yards rushing. A big reason why the Bisons have been able to turn around their season. They get a gain of 4 or 5 on first down.
First carry of the day for Chad Young. Yeah, one of the other fullbacks on the team. We saw Will Shields get into the offense earlier with that great catch. First time they've actually given the ball on a run to one of the fullbacks, and it brings up 2nd and 4.
You don't often see Will make a catch downfield either.
No.
He usually is called on to make the hard yards. 2nd and 4 Manitoba. Friesen looking for a hole, but he gets back to the line of scrimmage and no further.
That was a called QB run all the way, and the Saskatchewan Huskies did a great job of that. You can see pretty much thinking run all the way. And big number 51 on the Saskatchewan defense. That's Von Rice. Had great pursuit. Ended up giving Nathan Friesen nothing, and it's punt time once again for the brown and gold.
Huskies defense has given up only 16 points a game on average, and they have several guys on defense near the top of several defensive categories in Canada West. They lead Canada West defenses in sacks with 12, and they've been stingy, and the main reason why the Huskies are 4-1. And with a win today, they can tie Calgary for first place in Canada West. Bowman. Decent punt. Gorski fields it off a bounce. And finds some room to the 35.
Saskatchewan's been doing some great work on their return game. Obviously, the huge one after the last Bison touchdown, but Gorski there, pretty much every time they're getting the ball, they're certainly getting extra yards and making a difference. You can see Gorski here, a couple moves quickly, and then finds a hole and turns something out of nothing. Could have easily been no return and managed to get 10 yards.
He's averaging almost 12 yards a punt return, which is near the top in Canada West. There's a look at total offenses. Very close. Here's Bolin. No room on the outside.
You know, the total offense 127 to 129, but that's very deceiving because the return game of Saskatchewan has been the dagger here in the second quarter against the U of M. job, Hindley.
So we're getting what we expected, a defensive battle. Second and 9, Saskatchewan. Nixon with plenty of time, but he's brought down by Justin Clayton.
That was fantastic pursuit by Clayton. He had a chance to get Nixon early and was blocked away and managed to come back, never giving up on the play. And you'll see him here. Great block in the end, manages to get back up. Wyatt Jacoby in on it as well, and then bang, Nixon taken down and brings up a big third down. Or that was a big second down, brings up third down, and Shaw once again called upon. Shaw seems like he's pretty much on the field all the time.
Has a 55-yard field goal in this game. He's 2 for 2 in that department. Long count. Good punt against the wind. Fielded by Botello. Jeremy Botello heads upfield and is met by 4 or 5 Huskies.
Well, without a doubt, you know, Saskatchewan up by 6. Their special teams, I'd offer, has really been the difference in this game so far. They're consistently getting more yards on their punts into the wind than the Bisons were when they were facing that wind in the first quarter. And obviously that huge kick return by Jeff Hassler to set up that 1-yard touchdown by O'Gorman was the real key play of the second quarter so far.
Bison offense throwing on first down. Botello has the ball and a first down.
We've been speaking about Botello, a guy they really want to get more into the offense. And you know, Nate Friesen's looked very good throwing the ball, Mike. And that hasn't been a strength of this team to this point in the season.
No, things really turned around for him in the Bison's first home game, their third game of the season against UBC. He came out in the third quarter and threw 3 touchdown passes, and they started moving him out of the pocket a bit more. And yeah, he's a lot more accurate and throws really well on the run.
Considering the pressure that Saskatchewan's been getting and the push off the line, it's a good thing he is mobile, because sometimes there hasn't been a lot of time back there in the pocket.
And it must be difficult for a guy like Friesen. He comes out of junior football, you know, the top offensive player in Canada, and then sits, you know, behind John Mackey for 3-4 years and plays sparingly until this season, and then is thrown into the fire. He rolls out on second down and throws the ball away. So another 2 and out for Manitoba. Although they've had one good drive in the third quarter, culminating in a touchdown by James Girardi.
Yeah, they just ran the ball. As soon as we started this second half of the first half, drove the ball down for 6, but you know, we'll keep talking about that return by Jeff Hassler after the touchdown. But I mean, just such a key play, and Bisons haven't been able to keep that momentum, which really was broken when he took it back all the way to their 1-yard line.
Well, the sun has come out here in Winnipeg, so the temperature's risen by a degree, I think, Hustler. Brendan Bowman is going to run the football, and now he kicks it. He wasn't going to get to the first down marker, and things end up working for the Bisons.
Yeah, that was a real interesting play. Bowman running around thinking that he might go for it, and then a wild kick, a wild kick on the run that ended up inside the 10-yard line. He was feeling the heat, thought he might be able to get the first down, and that is that's an awesome play on the run.
But again, good special teams by Saskatchewan. There was good pursuit there, and they pretty much forced Bowman to punt.
You look at teams that generally win games, win close ones as they've done this year, and look no further than special teams. But the Bison defense could make something happen here.
They fake the run to O'Gorman. Nixon throws, and a great catch by McHenry, who gets a first down. Scott McHenry.
That was one of those plays that the Bisons could taste Nixon getting him deep in their end zone or a safety, and McHenry probably their most reliable receiver as far as number of receptions. And here we see the replay.
Good pursuit by Eddie Steele.
Great catch with the one hand. Massive play for Saskatchewan to get it out of the shadow of their own goal line.
And a nice throw on the run in traffic by Nixon. Mike Beauregard, Andrew Patterson, Jim Toth in Winnipeg. Our Canada West football game of the week. Saskatchewan leads Manitoba 13-7 late in the first half. Andrew James being tended to.
He had a great start to this game, James, with that pick of Nixon on the first play from scrimmage for Saskatchewan. So walking around on the sidelines, should be okay to return to the game.
Saskatchewan with some breathing room. Ball's at their 29-yard line. They fake to O'Gorman again. Nixon has it. No one to throw to, so he runs it out of bounds.
You know, you got to give credit to the big guys on the offensive line of Saskatchewan. Hines, Neufeld, Bidens, Heenan, Cam Rettel. They've been giving Nixon a lot of time, and the way they're designing the plays, Bison's been biting on a lot of their play action.
Yeah, he really sold the run there.
And look at Nixon after his interception on that first play. He's gone 8 of 11 for 89 yards, and obviously their running game's been clicking as well.
Nixon picked up 5 on the play. O'Gorman on second down gets a yard, but is well short of the first down marker.
Huge stop by the Bisons. You know, Nixon and the Saskatchewan offense had been very, very efficient on second and short, converting pretty much all of their opportunities. And certainly number 7, O'Gorman, had been a big part of that. But Eddie Steele, Wyatt Jacoby, and the rest of the Bison defense held him, and it'll be back to Grant Shaw to punt it to the U of M. Three minutes remaining here in the second quarter, Mike. And it is getting a little bit nicer out, but the wind is still blowing.
Plenty of time for Manitoba to work with that wind. It's a crosswind, but it's aiding the team going right to left on your screen. Low punt by Shaw. Drives Botello to his 40. And he doesn't get much.
So Nate Friesen and the Bison offense will have 2 minutes 44 seconds. They'll be starting right around their own 40-yard line, and wouldn't they like to get another touchdown to even it up with Saskatchewan going into halftime?
Well, if they do, it'll be something we haven't seen a whole lot of this year against that Huskies defense. They only give up 14 or 16 points a game. They fake the run, pitch it to Henry. It's incomplete.
Luckily for Friesen, that was a forward pass, or otherwise that was going to be a loose ball, which in all likelihood would have ended up in green and white hands, turning the ball over to Saskatchewan.
Well, you got to like the Bisons. They're mixing it up a bit, but they're not fooling this Huskies defense.
No. And that's the sign of a good defense. You know, you can throw all sorts of tricks at them. At the end of the day, you got to earn every yard you get against the Saskatchewan Huskies.
Mitchell Friesen broke that up. He's registered a few big hits today. 2nd and 10 Manitoba from their 40.
Manitoba goes 5 wide.
Friesen throws intended for Jake Kennard, who did not cut off his pattern, and Friesen took a hit.
A little bit slow getting up, and you know, not the time U of M wanted to go 2 and out, but again, credit to the Saskatchewan defense. We're going to see another punt. Brendan Bowman's been booting them all afternoon so far, but it's still lots of time. I mean, you know, lots of time for Saskatchewan to move the ball if they can, or if the Bisons can, you know, quickly manage to get them 2 and out, or they'll have time to still put some points on the board before the halftime.
Another punt for Manitoba. After driving for a touchdown early in the third quarter, the Bison offense has had 3 consecutive 2 and outs. Good punt by Bowman.
Saskatchewan now with an opportunity. If they can put some more points on the board, not only will it be very discouraging to the U of M for them to be doing that against the wind, but they'll also be keeping the ball away from Manitoba and not even giving them a chance maybe for a late field goal to close this gap to 3 points.
Stay tuned for our halftime show. Jim Toth will have some features, some interviews. We'll have highlights and a whole lot more. Just over 2 minutes left in the first half. 13-7, Saskatchewan leads. Huskies are back home to host Alberta next week. They run the end around of Gorski, who's not a big guy, but very elusive. He gets a couple of yards there and no more.
Nice pursuit by Andrew James with the tackle on that play, and this is a big second down now for the Bison defense and the Saskatchewan offense. Saskatchewan certainly would like to just continue moving the chains a little bit and get to halftime with the lead, and the Bisons would love to give their offense one more chance to put a couple points up on the board with this strong, strong wind.
Big second down play here for Saskatchewan. Nixon in trouble, gets rid of it, throws it out of bounds.
Wyatt Jacoby with some great pressure on that play, and Everton Black as well, making things a little hairy for Lawrence Nixon, who, like a veteran, did the right thing to get it away. We can see the replay here. Black's the first guy in with pressure. Nixon manages to dodge him, or sorry, Jacoby, and then Black jumping on him as he got rid of the ball and brings up a punt.
Everton had a huge game last week against Calgary, 8 tackles and 2 sacks. If you're a quarterback, you see a lot of 76 and a lot of 46 in facing the Bisons. Here's Shaw. Botello fields it on the run. Flag on the play.
Ball near midfield, depending on what this penalty is, and a minute 47 left. Still lots of time for the U of M to make something happen offensively.